Growing older and entering retirement is often seen as a well-deserved time to rest after decades of hard work. Yet for many seniors, this period of calm unexpectedly becomes a source of loneliness, emotional emptiness, and even depression. So how can older adults stay connected, joyful, and fulfilled each day? Let's explore 8 daily habits to help seniors beat loneliness and find more joy in life. Simple daily actions that can restore meaning, spark happiness, and bring companionship back into life. Before we begin the video, we'd love to know, where are you watching from today? And make sure to stay with us until the end to discover all 8 powerful habits that can beat loneliness and find more joy in life. Number 1. Establish a daily routine. Isn't retirement the time to finally live without a clock? To enjoy days without rules or schedules? This question divides many older adults across America. For some, the absence of structure feels like freedom. But countless studies and the lived experiences of seniors nationwide show that a lack of daily rhythm can quickly transform that freedom into restlessness, emptiness, and even depression. True freedom is not in drifting through the day without direction, but in choosing routines that give purpose, health, and peace of mind. Science is clear on this matter. Research from the National Institute on Aging reveals that older adults who maintain structured daily schedules have better cognitive performance and overall health. A major study published in JAMA Psychiatry tracked more than 1,700 seniors and found that those with consistent wake times and meal times had a 40% lower risk of developing depression compared to those with irregular habits. Daily structure helps regulate circadian rhythms, which are essential for quality sleep, balanced mood, and energy throughout the day. Take the story of Harold, a 74-year-old veteran from Ohio. After his wife's passing, Harold let go of his routine. He stayed awake late into the night watching television, skipped meals, and spent mornings in bed. Within a few months, he felt lost, sluggish, and increasingly lonely. His doctor suggested small changes. Wake up at the same time every day, prepare a real breakfast, and step outside for a morning walk. Within 6 weeks, Harold noticed his energy returning, his sleep improving, and his sadness lifting. He began to look forward to the rhythm of each new day. His story reflects a lesson supported by science. Structure, even in its simplest form, can restore health and dignity. Physicians emphasize that daily routines protect both body and brain. Eating meals at consistent times supports blood sugar regulation, which is vital since nearly 15 million Americans over 65 live with diabetes. Regular sleep routines help the brain clear toxins such as beta amyloid, linked to Alzheimer's disease, potentially lowering risk by 15 to 20%, according to studies at Washington University in St. Louis. Scheduling activity throughout the day reduces frailty, a condition that threatens the independence of nearly 1 in 4 seniors, often leading to falls and hospital stays. The psychological benefits are equally profound. Structure gives time a shape. It transforms endless, indistinct hours into meaningful moments. Even modest rituals, watering flowers, journaling before bed, or calling a loved one, become anchors that prevent days from dissolving into monotony. American life has long been built on rhythm, the farmer rising with the sun, the factory worker's shift, the bell that rang in schoolyards. In older age, establishing a personal rhythm carries forward that tradition, offering security and a sense of place in the world. For anyone wondering how to begin, the advice is to start small. Choose 3 anchor points each day. Wake at the same time, eat a nourishing breakfast, and move outdoors, even for 15 minutes. Over time, add new rituals that fit personal joys, reading in the afternoon, reflecting in the evening, or connecting with friends by phone. The goal is not rigidity, but continuity. A well-chosen routine is not a burden. It is a form of self-care, a silent guardian that steadies the mind and strengthens the body. Retirement does not mean the absence of structure, but rather the chance to design it freely. A daily routine provides safety, protects health, sharpens the mind, and nurtures the soul. It is the art of creating a life that is not just longer, but richer. The invitation is simple: build rituals that guide the day, and discover that structure is not the end of freedom. It is the pathway to a more meaningful life. Number 2. Prioritize physical movement. With age, the body often whispers reasons to slow down: stiff joints, sore muscles, or a sense that rest is the safer choice. Yet science and lived experience reveal a different truth. The less the body moves, the faster strength, balance, and independence slip away. Movement in later years is not about chasing athletic achievements, but about keeping vitality alive, protecting the mind, and preserving the freedom to live each day with energy and dignity. Extensive research confirms these benefits. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that older adults who stay physically active can reduce their risk of heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and even certain cancers by up to 35%. A Mayo Clinic study found that walking briskly for just half an hour a day lowered the risk of premature death by nearly a quarter. Regular activity improves balance, reduces falls, the leading cause of injury in Americans over 70, and enhances blood circulation to the brain, which supports memory and reduces the risk of dementia. Movement truly acts as medicine for both body and mind. A vivid example comes from a retired librarian in Boston who spent years avoiding exercise after leaving her career. Daily routines grew sedentary, stamina declined, and even a trip to the mailbox felt daunting. Encouraged to join a local walking group, she reluctantly began with short distances. Within weeks, posture improved, energy returned, and sleep deepened. Months later, those morning walks became the highlight of her day, bringing companionship, laughter, and renewed confidence. Her story illustrates how even modest efforts can transform health and outlook. The beauty of movement lies in its simplicity. Exercise for older adults does not require a gym or heavy equipment. Gardening in the backyard, stretching arms overhead upon waking, dancing to favorite songs, or strolling through the neighborhood all nurture strength and flexibility. The National Institute on Aging emphasizes that even light activity, performed consistently, can lower fatigue and regulate blood sugar. The key is rhythm, repeating gentle, sustainable actions until they become natural parts of daily life. Beyond the measurable health gains, there is a profound emotional impact. The ability to walk confidently into a community gathering, climb steps without hesitation, or carry groceries without assistance strengthens a sense of independence. Each small act of movement affirms resilience and self-worth. In a culture that values freedom, maintaining mobility ensures not only safety but also dignity. The path forward begins with small choices. Stand and stretch every half hour, take a short walk after meals, or spend a few minutes tending to plants outdoors. These simple habits, repeated day after day, build momentum and create lasting change. Over time, new possibilities open: Tai Chi in the park, swimming at a community pool, or dancing at social events. Aging does not signal an end to strength, but offers an opportunity to embrace movement as a daily practice of renewal. Every step taken is a quiet declaration that life still holds purpose, energy, and joy waiting to be lived. Number 3. Stay socially engaged. There are two stories that linger in the heart. In one, an elderly man sits by the window of his home, watching the world pass by. Days stretch long and silent. Meals are eaten alone. The television hums in the background, and memories are his only companions. A few blocks away, another man of the same age wakes each morning with anticipation. He shares a cup of coffee with a neighbor, calls an old army friend in the afternoon, and in the evening walks to his church, where familiar voices greet him with warmth. Both live alone, yet one drifts in loneliness while the other thrives in connection. These stories remind us that the difference between isolation and belonging often lies in a single choice: reaching out. Science reinforces what the heart already knows. The National Institutes of Health reports that social isolation in older adults is linked to higher risks of heart disease, depression, and cognitive decline, with loneliness carrying health risks comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Yet even modest connections, a daily phone call, a shared walk, or a chat with the cashier at the grocery store, can lower blood pressure, strengthen immunity, and lift the spirit. Human beings are not designed to live in silence. Connection is as vital as food, water, or rest. The power of engagement is not found in grand gatherings, but in the small, consistent acts that remind one of being part of something greater. A smile exchanged on the front porch, a conversation at the local diner, a group game at the community center. Each is a thread that weaves life into a larger fabric. These moments protect against the weight of loneliness and create a rhythm of belonging that brings comfort and joy. Consider the emotional truth. Every conversation is a reminder that life still has meaning, that stories are still worth sharing, that wisdom is still needed. For those who hesitate, fearing they might be a burden, it is important to remember that connection is mutual. Each call made or visit offered gives as much as it receives. Companionship nourishes both hearts equally. Practical steps are within reach. Set aside time each day to connect with at least one person. Reach out to a childhood friend, write a letter to a grandchild, or join a local group where laughter is shared. Libraries, senior centers, and places of worship remain havens for community and welcome. Technology, too, bridges distance, allowing voices and faces to cross miles in an instant. Silence does not have to define old age. Loneliness is not inevitable. Staying engaged is more than a habit. It is a declaration that life is still shared, still filled with voices, still alive with love. Choosing connection keeps the heart open, the mind strong, and the spirit young. Each conversation, no matter how small, carries the power to turn solitude into companionship and to transform the quiet of the day into something beautiful. Number 4. Keep the mind stimulated. 1 in 9 Americans over the age of 65 is living with Alzheimer's disease, according to the Alzheimer's Association, and nearly 1 in 3 will experience some form of memory decline during later years. These numbers are sobering, yet they point to a powerful truth. While aging is inevitable, the rate at which the mind declines can be shaped by daily habits. The brain, like the body, needs exercise. Without stimulation, it weakens, but with consistent use, it remains sharp, curious, and capable of joy. Decades of neurological research confirm that mental activity protects against cognitive decline. A long-term study published in Neurology followed more than 2,000 older adults for 6 years and found that those who regularly engaged in activities such as reading, writing, or playing games had a 32% lower risk of developing dementia. Even learning something entirely new, whether a language, a musical instrument, or computer skills, creates fresh neural pathways, strengthening memory and flexibility of thought. The scientific conclusion is simple. The more the brain is challenged, the healthier it remains. Stories from real lives give these findings human warmth. A retired teacher in California felt her memory slipping as she began forgetting simple tasks like grocery items or where she left her keys. Rather than accept this as unavoidable, she signed up for a community Spanish class and began doing crossword puzzles each morning. Within weeks, she noticed sharper focus and greater confidence. What surprised her most was not only the return of mental clarity, but the sense of excitement that came from learning again. Each new word she mastered was not just knowledge, but proof that her mind still held untapped potential. Mental stimulation extends beyond formal study. Reading a newspaper daily, discussing current events with a neighbor, writing reflections in a journal, or exploring a new hobby such as painting or gardening all keep the brain active. Even simple changes, like taking a different walking route or cooking a new recipe, introduce novelty that forces the brain to adapt. The National Institute on Aging emphasizes that variety is key. Engaging in different forms of learning challenges the mind from multiple angles and builds resilience. The emotional impact of mental engagement is just as important as the scientific one. Staying curious fosters a sense of purpose. It prevents the days from blending together and transforms time into opportunity. Each problem solved, each book finished, or each conversation deepened carries a quiet pride, affirming that growth does not end with age. The mind remains alive as long as it is used, and stimulation brings not only sharper memory, but also richer life. Practical steps are accessible to all. Begin with small commitments. Read for 20 minutes each day, complete a puzzle, or write a brief journal entry. Then gradually expand into new challenges. Take an online class, join a book club, or learn a new skill at the local senior center. These habits do more than preserve cognition. They open doors to joy, discovery, and connection. While statistics may show the risk of decline, they also illuminate the path forward. Mental stimulation is both protection and possibility. It is a way to safeguard independence, nurture curiosity, and keep life vibrant. The invitation is simple. Feed the mind each day and discover that aging can be not only about remembering the past, but about creating new futures. Number 5. Practice gratitude and reflection. Gratitude turns what we have into enough, wrote Aesop, and this ancient wisdom holds even greater power in the later seasons of life. As the years pass, it is natural to dwell on what has been lost: health, loved ones, youthful strength. But gratitude shifts the gaze toward what remains. Reflection deepens this practice, transforming ordinary days into sacred moments. Together, gratitude and reflection act as gentle medicine, calming the mind, uplifting the spirit, and bringing meaning to the quiet hours of aging. The scientific evidence is compelling. A study published in Personality and Individual Differences found that older adults who practiced daily gratitude experienced lower levels of depression, better sleep quality, and a stronger sense of purpose. Another study from the University of California, Davis revealed that keeping a gratitude journal for just 10 weeks increased optimism and even improved physical health, including lower blood pressure and fewer visits to the doctor. Reflection, often paired with gratitude, supports stress reduction by lowering cortisol levels and enhancing emotional stability. These practices are not abstract ideals, they are measurable tools for health and resilience. Consider George, a 79-year-old retired firefighter who felt adrift after losing his wife. His days were filled with memories of the past and an overwhelming sense of emptiness. On the advice of a counselor, he began writing down 3 things each morning that he was thankful for. At first, the list felt forced: a hot cup of coffee, a phone call from a grandson, the warmth of sunlight through the window. But over time, those simple notes transformed his outlook. He still missed his wife, but instead of focusing solely on absence, he began to see the blessings that remained. Gratitude did not erase grief, but it helped him rediscover peace and even joy. Reflection complements gratitude by creating space to process thoughts and emotions. This can be as simple as sitting quietly on a porch in the evening, breathing deeply, or meditating for a few minutes before bed. Some find reflection in prayer, others in journaling, or even in tending a small garden while listening to the rhythm of nature. The form does not matter, the consistency does. Reflection steadies the mind, clears away the noise of worry, and centers the heart on what truly matters. Emotionally, gratitude and reflection remind older adults that life still offers abundance, even in solitude. These practices anchor the day, turning fleeting moments into treasures. They bring warmth to ordinary routines, whether in the taste of a meal, the sound of laughter, or the simple act of watching the sunrise. They also nurture resilience, making it easier to face challenges with grace rather than despair. A practical beginning requires little effort. Each morning or evening, write down 3 things to be grateful for. Take 5 minutes to sit quietly, reflect on the day, and breathe with intention. Over time, this habit grows stronger, training the mind to notice goodness and light even during hardship. Gratitude and reflection are not only practices, but ways of living. They transform solitude into serenity, grief into perspective, and aging into a season of wisdom. By choosing to give thanks and reflect each day, the later years of life can shine not with what is missing, but with the radiance of what still remains. Number 6. Find a way to help others. Picture a small food pantry on a chilly morning. Volunteers shuffle boxes of canned goods, laughter rises between tables, and the hum of activity fills the room. In the corner, an elderly woman with silver hair gently hands a bag of groceries to a young mother, her eyes warm with kindness. Though her own children live far away and her house is often quiet, here she feels alive, connected, and needed. This scene captures the transformative power of giving. It is not only about offering help, but about rediscovering purpose. Research consistently shows that acts of giving improve both mental and physical health. A study by Carnegie Mellon University found that adults over 50 who volunteered regularly were 40% less likely to develop high blood pressure compared to those who did not. Another study published in BMC Public Health revealed that older adults who engaged in volunteering reported higher levels of happiness and lower levels of depression, with benefits that lasted for years. Helping others stimulates brain activity in regions linked to pleasure and meaning, releasing endorphins and reducing stress. In this sense, service is not a burden, it is a form of healing. The story of Margaret illustrates this truth. After retiring from her career as a nurse, she struggled with loneliness. Her children had moved across the country, and the days felt long and empty. At the suggestion of a friend, she began volunteering at a local shelter a few hours each week. What began as a small commitment quickly grew into a lifeline. She made new friends, regained a sense of structure, and found comfort in knowing her experience and compassion were still valuable. Margaret discovered that giving did not drain her energy, it renewed it. Helping others takes many forms and does not always require formal volunteering. A kind word to a neighbor, mentoring a younger person, knitting blankets for a hospital, or even writing letters of encouragement are all acts of service. Technology widens these opportunities further, enabling older adults to mentor online, share wisdom with younger generations, or support charitable causes from home. Each act, no matter how modest, strengthens connection and creates ripples of kindness. The emotional impact of service is profound. Giving shifts focus away from loneliness and toward meaning. It reassures older adults that their lives still hold purpose, that their voices and hands still matter. It restores dignity, combats feelings of invisibility, and replaces isolation with belonging. In serving others, the heart finds its own healing. A practical way to begin is to choose one simple act of kindness each day. Call a neighbor to check in, prepare an extra meal to share, or volunteer for a few hours at a community center. These small choices, repeated over time, weave service into the fabric of daily life. Helping others is not only an act of generosity, but also an act of self-preservation. It keeps the spirit alive, brings joy to both giver and receiver, and turns solitude into solidarity. Aging alone does not mean living without value. It is an invitation to discover that offering a hand to others is one of the surest ways to feel whole again. Number 7. Spend time in nature. The soft rustle of leaves in a gentle breeze, the rhythmic call of birds at dawn, or the sight of sunlight breaking through tall oak branches. These sounds and images have a way of calming the heart in ways that words cannot. For many older adults, nature is more than scenery. It is a companion, a sanctuary, and a reminder that life continues to move forward with grace. Stepping into the natural world each day, even for a short while, brings both physical healing and emotional renewal. Medical science affirms what the senses already know. Researchers at Stanford University found that spending just 30 minutes walking in natural settings reduced stress hormone levels by nearly 20% compared to walking in urban environments. Another study published in Environmental Health and Preventive Medicine revealed that time spent in green spaces lowers blood pressure, enhances immune function, and improves sleep quality in older adults. These benefits are so consistent that doctors in several states have begun prescribing nature therapy as part of routine health care for seniors. Beyond the clinical evidence lies the profound emotional comfort of being outdoors. A widow in her late 70s once shared how daily walks through her neighborhood park became her most cherished ritual after her husband passed. Each morning she sat by a pond, watching the geese glide across the water. The simple act of witnessing that continuity of life reminded her that while grief remained, peace was still possible. Over time, the park became not just a place to walk, but a source of healing, grounding her spirit with every sunrise. Nature also encourages gentle movement, which strengthens balance and mobility without the strain of formal exercise. A stroll along a tree-lined path, tending flowers in the garden, or sitting on a porch with a view of the sky all provide the body with fresh air and the mind with rest. Even small doses of natural light help regulate circadian rhythms, making it easier to sleep at night and wake refreshed in the morning. For those unable to go far, simply opening a window, listening to birdsong, or keeping a houseplant nearby can bring a touch of nature indoors. The cultural roots of this connection run deep in American history. Generations before found resilience in the land. Farmers rising with the sun, communities gathering at harvest, children playing in open fields. In returning to nature, older adults reconnect with that heritage of simplicity and strength. The earth offers lessons in patience, renewal, and continuity, reminding each observer that growth is still possible, even in later seasons of life. A meaningful way to begin is to set aside a short period of time each day to step outside, no matter the weather. Feel the warmth of sunlight, the crispness of winter air, or the gentle scent of spring blossoms. Keep a bench in the garden, walk to a nearby park, or simply sit under a tree and let the stillness speak. These moments, repeated faithfully, can shift the tone of an entire day. Time in nature is not just about fresh air. It is about remembering one's place in a larger living world. It brings perspective to worries, eases the weight of loneliness, and fills the soul with quiet strength. In every breeze, in every sunrise, there is an invitation to begin again with hope and peace. Number 8. Cultivate creativity. The quilt is finished, its colors bright and patterns intricate, stitched with patience and care. On the wall, a painting catches the afternoon light, its brushstrokes telling a story only the heart could write. A wooden toy sits polished on a shelf, carved by steady hands that once trembled with uncertainty. These are not merely objects. They are proof that age did not close the chapter of creation, but opened a new one. To see the finished work is to witness resilience, and to follow the thread backward is to understand how creativity can transform the quiet hours of old age into moments of joy and purpose. The science behind this transformation is compelling. A landmark study from the National Endowment for the Arts found that seniors who engaged in creative programs maintained greater independence, sharper cognitive function, and improved emotional well-being compared to peers who did not. Research at George Washington University echoed these findings, revealing that older adults active in creative pursuits had fewer doctor visits and reported higher overall satisfaction with life. Creativity, far from being a pastime, is a form of preventive medicine, strengthening mind, body, and spirit. The path to such fulfillment often begins with hesitation. A widowed grandfather, unsure what to do with evenings heavy with silence, picked up his old carving tools after decades of neglect. At first the wood resisted, his hands uncertain, but soon each shape carried emotion, turning sorrow into art. A retired teacher found herself restless until she bought a set of watercolors. Her first paintings were simple, almost clumsy, yet with each attempt her spirit grew lighter, and she began gifting her work to family. Their stories illustrate that creativity is not about talent or perfection. It is about finding a way to give voice to the soul. Creativity is also broader than art. It flourishes in gardens, where seeds pressed into soil become beauty and nourishment. It lives in kitchens, where treasured recipes are written down and shared with grandchildren. It finds expression in journaling, in singing hymns, or in weaving family stories into a lasting record. Each act is both personal and communal, leaving behind something that carries meaning into the future. This cycle of creation is deeply rooted in American tradition. From folk music born in rural fields to murals painted across city walls, every generation has used creativity to tell its story. Older adults who embrace creative expression today become part of that legacy, adding their voices and visions to the cultural fabric of the nation. Beginning requires no masterpiece. It begins with a pencil sketch, a song hummed in the kitchen, a flower planted in the yard, or a recipe written in a family book. These modest acts accumulate, and over time they create something larger than themselves, a renewed sense of vitality, a feeling of contribution, and proof that life continues to hold possibility. Creativity is not the end of a journey, but the continuation of it. The quilt, the painting, the carved toy, the song, all remind us that aging is not about fading away, but about shaping new beauty from the silence. To create is to affirm that the story of life, even in its final chapters, is still being written with color, rhythm, and meaning. Aging does not have to mean decline or loneliness. The lessons are clear. Build a daily routine so time has shape and meaning. Keep moving because motion preserves strength, balance, and independence. Stay socially engaged because even a single conversation can protect the heart and mind. Stimulate the brain with reading, learning, and curiosity to slow decline and keep memory sharp. Practice gratitude and reflection to turn ordinary days into peaceful ones. Help others because giving creates purpose and joy. Spend time in nature to restore calm and perspective. Cultivate creativity because making something new proves that growth never ends. Science confirms these habits work. Regular routines lower depression and improve sleep. Physical activity cuts disease risk by more than 30% and reduces falls. Social connection reduces the risk of dementia and boosts immunity. Cognitive stimulation lowers the risk of memory loss by up to 30%. Gratitude lowers stress and blood pressure. Volunteering lowers loneliness and even improves physical health. Time in green spaces lowers cortisol and supports the immune system. Creative expression reduces doctor visits and strengthens independence. These numbers show that simple daily choices shape not just years lived, but the quality of every day. The message is simple. Health and happiness in later life are built on small, steady habits that anyone can begin today. Choose one action. Wake at the same time, walk after a meal, call a friend, read for 20 minutes, write down 3 blessings, share a meal, sit under a tree, or sketch a page. These small steps, done consistently, protect the body, sharpen the mind, and nourish the soul. Do not wait for change. Begin today. Build a life that is not only longer but richer, filled with purpose, dignity, and joy. Leave a comment below with one habit you will start today. Your words may inspire someone else to begin. If this video spoke to you, share it with a friend who could use the encouragement. And if you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe to our channel right now so you never miss the lessons and inspiration we share each week. Thank you for watching, and may your next day be brighter, stronger, and more meaningful and joy.